Hi, I'm Noel New, the songwriting therapist. I want to ask you a question. What's the difference between arguing and discussing? Like, really, what's the difference between having an argument and a discussion, between two people, or several, actually? There's one real huge difference, and hopefully we can really look at this and consider shifting this in ourselves and in our relationships, and we do so one person, one relationship at a time, and it just might influence our society to do so as well, because what we're caught in is just arguing. And an argument is about winning or losing. An argument is when two people are arguing, they may hear each other, but the information that they're attaining and retaining is just to control the narrative so they can win their position. That's what an argument does. I'm not even saying it's good or bad, but I'm saying for effective communication, it's not going to get you to where you want to get to. If you need to prove a point, that's fine. But again, who are we proving points to, and where and when and how and why? And I can say in most of our connections and relationships and, who we deal with on a daily basis, if we're trying to win and prove a point on each one of those, we are not going to have a fulfilling life, and we're definitely not going to feel free because we're always attached to having to win. So argument is really not listening. It's hearing the information and throwing it back to win the point. And because if I don't win, I lose. And so to not lose is just as potent as not winning, being afraid to not win, or to try to get to win. And it's really, again, it's missing the point, because the point is when we're having a discussion, we do not have to agree. The whole agree to disagree. We don't have to agree. We might even get frustrated and angry with each other. We may not appreciate the other person's point of view. However, when we're having a discussion, we are holding the space for each other. I say my piece and where I'm at, you hold the space and you actually listen to it. Not just the words I'm saying, but the energy. You say your piece, I hold the space. I not only hear it, but I'm listening to it, not just the words you're saying, but the energy of it. And when I can do that, and you can do that, the energy will lower, meaning the intensity, and we'll actually be discussing. And we can actually see that no matter what we're discussing, more than likely we'll have a similar desire of what we want, but it might be a whole different paradigm. So for instance, our biggest issues right now are split between left and right, conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, and not just in our country, but all throughout the world. And the reality is you are not going to get somebody on the far side of a point to come to the other far side of the point. It's just, to do so is absolutely ineffective, and it's literally not possible. But can you get people to kind of move a little bit towards each other through respect, through consideration, kindness, compassion, to reduce the judging of each other, and to see what's really underneath it? That would be through discussion and listening. You're not going to agree. We're not going to agree on all this. But can we actually hear each other, listen, and discuss? Well, if we can do that, and when we can do that, we are absolutely more engaged and more able and capable of coming to some kind of solutions. And that's really important. And so I just said it on a kind of a global scale, but big time, we need it in our relationships, we need it in our families, we need it in our communications at work. If we're arguing in everywhere we go, or we're being argued with and everywhere we go, our life is absolutely not pleasant. And it's definitely one we want to not be a part of. We will probably want to numb ourselves, escape, rail and yell, you know what I mean? Kind of one of my favorite groups from the 90s is Rage Against the Machine. But, even in that sense, it feels good in the moment, and sometimes that's needed. But then you got to sit down and talk to the other people. And by the way, I know that Tom Morello, and Zach De La Rocha and the other two gentlemen, fantastic band. But they actually are able to talk things through. Because I really do admire, not just their music, but their, way to be able to deal with people. Some people would say they don't. And, again, there's the argument. My point is this. My point is, without taking a side, it's hearing and listening and sharing what we're really thinking, feeling, discussing, want to discuss, our desires. When we do that, we will see that we are not that different. We just have a different way to look at it. People that are more conservative are more protective of what they have and want to keep things going the way it is. People that are more liberal are more progressive and want to feel safer by shifting what is into what could be. And by the way, conservatives can feel that energy of progressiveness, and liberals can feel that energy of protectiveness. It's just people. It's just that the dynamics of the agreement will not get to an agreement because it's too far away from what the person feels like they need to obtain to get to where they feel safe again. So we're going to have many discussions where we disagree with one another. But when we take out the arguing, the winning and losing, and the heat of that, because the right has heat, the left has heat. The left is like, it needs to be done now. The right has, you don't need to do it at all. Whatever the case may be, it's energy, it's heat. If we can lessen the heat and discuss with one another, what are our real concerns? What are we afraid of? It's coming from fear. Whether it's warranted or not, whether it's real or not, it doesn't matter. It's coming from fear, that energy of arguing. When we can discuss, we can lower that intensity, that energy. We still might not agree on everything, maybe not most things, but we will start to agree on that we're all people, we're all humans trying to have the best lives we can have, even if we totally disagree with how to do that. And once we're able to do that, we will then be able to actually come to some decisions that are more giving and receiving of each other, especially in our political realm. But again, going back to our homes, our families, our significant other relationships, our workplace, what we'll be doing is be able to listen to each other, feel listened to, and be able to connect. And in that connection, the animosity lessens to where it's not there at all. The energy of, seek and destroy subsides. Kill or be killed, fear or be feared subsides. And we get to connection and love and compassion with each other, even when we disagree with each other. So let's try to focus on having discussions with one another. And when we start to argue, let it begin with me, where, have that slogan, that statement in your mind, I'm arguing. Am I trying to win? If I'm trying to win, let me either stop the argument or change it to a discussion, or at least mitigate it down to where I lower my heat and my energy. And if I can't, that's where I set a boundary and have to say, this is not a discussion, this is an argument that not only am I not going to win, you're not going to win, nobody's going to win. So, because there is no win. The win is when we connect and communicate and feel heard by each other instead of feeling hurt by each other. So try that today, one day, one moment at a time, and see what kind of connection, what kind of change happens in your life. I'm going to use the P word. I promise it will start to shift to a more settled self, to where you engage with people in a whole nother way.